Hello, welcome back to the Parc Fermé for podcast number 722, which I am calling the COVID cast. That's right. This is Todd.
No, Todd, not now.
AKA Negative Camber, or your resident COVIDiot. That's right. I'm back in the chair. Oh boy, for podcast 722, we're going to talk about Formula One news. That's what we normally do, right? We always do that. But before talking about any of that news, I have to introduce my guest tonight, which of course means, that's right, I got to go all the way to the right coast of America, nestled in our nation's capital, where she plies her skills as a master statistician and a big fan of Honda Racing HPD development. How about that? You know her. You love her. It's the lovely, the redoubtable Grace! Grace, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Todd, how are you doing?
Oh, man.
It's such been such a loaded question. Usually it's just like, oh, it's been fine, Grace. It's been another week, and amongst other weeks that we do these podcasts.
Yeah.
It's loaded.
It's a little loaded question. Yeah, it sure is. So, for those of you that, those keen-eyed and keen-eared among you will know that last week we did not have a podcast. I was hit with COVID. The whole Camber residence was hit with COVID. And straight up, I want to tell every one of you that reached out in social media and emails, and I just want to thank you for all your well wishes. Incredibly humbling to get the love, the support from all of you around the world, and just means the world to me. And Mrs. Camber doing much better. And so we're sort of coming out on the tail end of this COVID. The official Department of Health gave my wife and my daughter the all clear, and I should have mine tomorrow, maybe, or the next day. So there you go. But could not believe all the kind words and support from all of you. Sure. For the podcast, and apologies for missing last week. That's very unlike us, yeah. But I appreciate your patience and hanging in there with us. And if I'm a little foggy going into this podcast, just realize this would be my Lance Stroll Portugal performance. Okay. So I'm just throwing that out there.
I just think that makes for a better podcast. And I'm going to see, much like, if you can't make a meeting at work, that means everything's getting assigned to you. This may be the same thing. Like, let's see what we can get assigned to Todd while he's not fully able to consent to things I want him to do.
Yeah, it's like last week I was really foggy, and Paul said, well, that might make fun podcast.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I offered to do the cheese and wine podcast as backup that we've always been joking about doing, There's still time. There's still time.
That would have been a good one. Oh
yeah.
My gosh. Yeah, it's been crazy. The thing I had some people ask me, what it's like, and it's very much like a flu, like you would get. But there's a lot of ways that it's different. It doesn't hit you all up front like the flu does, and then you kind of scramble through the fever and all that stuff, and then you start to come out of it. This is sort of a time release capsule of joy, so there's these symptoms, and then a couple days, then all of a sudden you get over it, you think you're getting over it, then there's other symptoms, and then there's a few days, and then and so you got that. The fatigue is very real. I went out and cut up a bunch of cardboard boxes for the recycling bin today, and I was like, I am spent.
No.
That was crazy. But the thing that pisses me off the most is the no smell and no taste, because it literally makes eating pointless. I might as well be eating this paper towel. I mean, it doesn't.
Delicious.
Yeah, it just, you're eating, at this point, there's no clear evidence that I'm only eating for survival at that point, right? Because I can't taste anything, and it's terrible, And it's almost to the point of the genius of the human brain starts to try its hardest to fill in the gaps. Right. You can't taste it, but it knows you're eating a brownie, and it's trying to, bless its little heart, it's trying to make it, taste like a brownie in your head. It's crazy.
That's right.
Yeah. So I got that going for me.
Oh, that sounds like
But
fun.
anyway, thank you so much to all of you out there who reached out to Grace and myself and Paul and everybody. It was really, really sweet of you. and I'm just happy to be back,
Yeah.
and forging ahead. So we're glad you're with us for podcast 722, which I'm calling
Right.
hashtag COVIDcast. So get that going for me too.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right. Are you ready to get in some F1 stuff, man?
Yeah, sure. You
Hey,
know me. I'm
I
always
do
ready.
know how Lance feels now. I wrote a piece about, I saw this today in Autosport.
Very
Lance
good.
said that he underestimated the impact COVID had on him. You remember he was out
Right.
during the Eiffel, and Hulkenberg was in, and then he came back in Portugal. And at the time, I was thinking, wow, that seems pretty quick to come back. And he had that real lackluster
Mm-hmm.
performance in Portugal, and he said they lost a lot of points. And remember, we talked about it at the time. I know Paul and I did. I said, you know, why would you put him back in that car if he wasn't ready for prime time? And he said, yeah, he just basically underestimated the impact. He said he was, you know, wasn't mentally 100%. And I'm, you know,
Uh,
living proof that's true. I'm podcasting here. This is my Portuguese Grand Prix podcast, so to speak.
maybe that should be the hashtag.
Maybe it should. My Portugal.
Yes. Also, Portugal sounds nice. Like, I feel like, a year into this, that sounds lovely. Really anywhere but
Yeah,
these walls sounds lovely,
it
right?
does. Yeah, right.
So
Right.
I feel
So,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's true, right? And there isn't like a concussion protocol for COVID, right? So
Yeah, right.
I'm sure, right? Like they asked him, they assessed him, he thought it was okay. But when you're like 10 laps in, you can't be like, nah, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm tired
yeah,
now.
yeah. That's
You gotta
exactly
finish.
right.
So I
I'm
think,
gonna go. I'm gonna box and cut up some cardboard for recycling, man. I'm done.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
think too, right, that they're athletes, right, at the pinnacle. They believe in themselves. Like we talk
Sure.
about how like Lewis, sometimes he'll say things and people are like, oh, he's an egomaniac. I'm like, no, you have to inherently believe in
Yeah, yeah,
yourself
yeah,
because
yeah.
nobody else will believe in you, and you have to go out and do this thing, and you have to support yourself, and you have to promote yourself. So you have to inherently, even if you're Lance Stroll, believe that you are the greatest thing since sliced bread. So I'm sure that's some part of it too, is that he
Well,
has to
those
he can overcome this.
Yeah, and those seats are fiercely protective. I
Yeah.
mean, you look at the impact Lewis had sitting out one race,
Yeah.
and you have half the world saying, well, Lewis who put George in, right?
Right.
He's a lot cheaper, right?
And people.
And yeah, and so then if you're Lance, you're thinking, well,
Ooh.
Hulkenberg knows how to drive a car. I don't want to be out of this seat too long,
Right.
you know?
Yep.
So getting a ride in F1 is incredibly difficult. So you're not willing to give it up if you don't have to.
Nope. That's right. And so, and you're Lance Stroll. Like, I'm sure it's not lost on Lance Stroll. He's not Lewis Hamilton, right? So
Right.
there are a
Right.
lot of people looking for that seat, right?
You're just Lance Stroll, right?
Right, right.
You're
So
not Lewis Hamilton.
right, right. So if you're nervous because Lewis Hamilton, even though
Right.
these didn't happen in that order, but like, Lewis Hamilton's nervous that George Russell's in his seat. What was, Lance Stroll must
Right.
have been thinking. So,
Right.
because his place is a lot more tenuous. So,
Right.
but I think, and there's nothing like seat time, right? Like I think we've all been, I don't know. I mean, I haven't had COVID, knock on wood or whatever, right? But I think I've definitely been sick in a place where I'm like, I can go to work, I can get up, I'm just gonna take a shower, and then I get out of the shower and I'm just like laying in the bed in my bathrobe going, who the hell am I kidding? Why did I
Yeah.
think right? Like you just don't make it very far. And
Yeah.
I think we all have that where we think I can, I can do this. And then you're like, who am I kidding? Let me call my boss, right? Like this is not okay.
There's those, that's like that king of optimism when I'm sick and I'm thinking, I know, I just take a shower. I'll feel a lot better after that
Always.
shower,
A hot shower fixes
hot shower. I'm going to feel
everything.
good. You take
Yeah.
that shower and you get out and you think, holy cow, I feel like hammered dog crap. There's no way
Exactly.
I'm going to get in that car and drive to my There's just no way.
No, I do remember once, like I did that, right? Got out of the shower. I'm like laying in my bed in my bathrobe, and I wake up and I'm like, did I actually call my boss? I think I did. Like, I think I made email your boss. But I really don't remember. And I was like, thankfully I did.
Right.
I mean, she would have been cool. I mean, certainly she would have been
Right.
more concerned for me as a person, not that I was AWOL, but just the idea that you're like, now I don't know what I did. Did I do that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know. And with the COVID last week, I'm thinking, no, I'm going to fight through this. And I so overdid it last week. I was in conference calls and meetings every day, all day long, all week last week, and I was having COVID, and I'm just sitting there laying, half laying in this chair with my headset on, listening to people in this meeting, trying to register. I mean, it was just, I was like, it reminds me of that Far Side cartoon, The Boneless Chicken Ranch. I was like a boneless chicken draped over a chair, listening to these meetings, trying to raise my hand. Oh, yeah, excuse me. Yes, I think that sounds good. Let's go with that. We'll do that.
Todd, that's me. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Like, well, what do you think, Todd? Yes, I think let's rubber stamp. Let's have those droids up on the ridge by noon, or there's going to be hell to pay.
I just feel like now people know how I used to do this podcast prior to the video component. Oh, yeah, it's good. Let's do that.
Right.
But now I have to sit up straight and,
Right. It's so true.
Participant.
Oh, it's brutal.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. Hey,
Yeah.
a little bit of what Paul Charsley might call controversy.
Oh, I do love a good controversy.
Don't you? Yeah,
I do.
love a good controversy.
Always.
Do the people in Guilford say controversy?
No, but apparently the people in Kent do.
I bet the people in Kent do.
Yeah.
I bet they say controversy.
I think the whole island says controversy, but
Yes. So as you might know, Haas F1.
Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Decided to release their livery. And let me take you back. So Haas F1, Gene looking for outside investors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're gonna go back. Okay.
Yeah. So Gene looking for outside investors hooks up with Rich Energy.
Are you crazy?
Oh God, Rich Energy. That guy.
That guy. Woo! Yes. You thought that would have been a lesson, because I remember the day that was announced, even seasoned Formula One veteran press journalists were saying, what the heck are you doing? Everyone, including journalists, were saying that. So you thought that would have been a lesson. So then they hook up with Nikita Mazepin and his wealthy father at Ukrali, or whatever you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not Russian. I don't speak it. And so
I
anyway,
still call him Marzipan. It's fine.
Marzipan, right? So they hook up with him. They sign him and Mick Schumacher, right? So this whole time you're thinking, as American fans, you're thinking, awesome, they got Mick Schumacher. Let's be realistic. He's may not be his dad, but he's Mick Schumacher, and he's doing a tidy job, and that's a great brand. And this is great, to have a Schumacher on the American team. This is great. Right. And then they got this Mazepin kid, and so then the Mazepin kid posts a picture of him groping a woman, right? So there's mass outrage, people calling him to get dropped. He doesn't get dropped.
No. He went through some training. He's fine now.
Yes, he went through.
He was punished. No, whatever.
Right. That's what Gunther said.
Yeah.
So now we sort of know why he wasn't dropped, because the car just dropped this past week.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, this is like an homage to the Russian flag and Mazepin, empire, right?
Yes.
This whole car looks like a Russian flag, right?
Yes.
So here's what Gunther had to say about it. Obviously, we cannot use the Russian flag as the Russian flag, but you can use the colors on a car. In the end, it's the athlete which cannot display the Russian flag and not the team. The team is an American team, end quote. That's what he said. Well, the World Anti-Doping Agency is looking into this because they felt that it was skirting the issue or coming dangerously close to having a Russian flag, which you cannot race under due to infractions, I believe, is the 2014 Olympics over doping in Russian athletes, which on the world stage, they can't compete. Even Nikita can't compete under a Russian flag. So that's what's going on here. Now, that was met with a lot of blowback on social media about an American team all dressed up looking like a Russian team. So, now we've talked about the fact that Gene has to do what he has to do in order to cover the cost of running a team.
Right.
And while Rich Energy should have been a little bit of a lesson learned, it does seem that Nikita Mazepin's father is now footing a large portion of the cost, obviously, because the car is all decked out in his company's name and Russian colors. Right. So even after that breast groping incident happened, the team didn't dismiss him. You can see why now. The entire team is a complete homage to all things Russian. And
Yes.
the American fans not happy. Now, if you go back into Formula One, there
Right.
have been some controversial
Yes.
sponsorships. I think of the Bin Laden family of Williams, right?
Yes. That was a
Back
problem.
then.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody was like, "Whoa, yeah, that was
Not
interesting."
okay.
Right, that was on Williams as a sponsor. You can see there's been that controversy in the past, but I am intrigued in some sense. And Grace, what was your thought when you saw the car release? Were you thinking, "Hey, this is an American team. It looks like a Russian team now," or were you thinking, Gene's got to do what he's got to do to keep the doors open?
I mean, I think it's something in between. I think that Haas has they've never had an American flag livery, right? It's not like this is, like it's not like they went from having, stars and stripes all over the car and
Yeah,
now
that's
it's a
right.
Russian flag, right? Like, I think if I showed you any of their liveries, you would go, which one was the American team, right? Like, so I don't think
Right.
they've all been gray, right? I
Yep.
don't, I don't think so. I don't know. I never really was expecting them to have an American livery because somebody's got to pay that money. I mean, that's true of all the cars. I mean, why is the Aston Martin green and pink? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
even the Mercedes, why is this their color scheme? So, I mean, the idea of being even, like Alpine, which has the French flag colors, right? Which I think is pretty sharp. But you know, the idea of having a team being uh, putting their livery on in a national color like that, just that's what we all like, like, British racing green and, French blue, and this idea of like you race under this color and this flag as a team, but ultimately it's whoever's paying the bills is whose paint color is on there, right?
Yep.
Like BWT's paying it, putting some pink on the car, right? Like, I'm sure any of the cars aren't, Renault is yellow. Why? Because that's Renault's color, right? So I think that I don't know. I was never expecting. Anyway, stars and stripes first.
Right. Right. Right.
So now, was I expecting it
Right.
to look like a Russian flag? Well, I don't know, but
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
don't know that I
surprised
expected
by
a
it.
Russian flag, but be that as it may, that's the sponsor, and that's what they're going with. I'll tell you what
Yeah.
I was a little surprised with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still surprised that Gene couldn't find an American company to support the team. And before you
Yeah.
quickly answer and say, well, there's not a lot of companies in America. It's F1. It's not as big an F. But that's
A
not
lot of
true
money.
because Zach Brown has been doing a great job of bringing American company sponsorships to McLaren.
Yeah, and then there's that Bahraini group, right? Like, again, I get it. There are American companies that are interested. There are always going to be companies interested. But is it enough to paint? Is it enough money to paint my car
Yeah,
the
yeah,
color
yeah,
of your company?
yeah.
No, there aren't American
Right,
teams. There aren't American companies putting up
right.
that kind of
I mean,
cash.
there might be Microsoft on the side of the McLaren, but there's not enough to turn the whole car Microsoft blue.
Correct. It's still papaya, right?
Right,
So,
right, right.
I think there is company money, but that's like, right. That's like Latifi money, Stroll money, right?
Yes.
Martin money. That's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
That level of money that you have, that you're able to like completely sponsor the team to the point that their car is your color. So
Right, right,
I just,
right.
yeah, I don't know that. And especially because why would an American company do that, right? Like, even if you were into racing, I would sponsor NASCAR way before I'd ever sponsor Formula One if I was an American team,
Yeah,
or IndyCar if you prefer open wheel, or, I mean, I just
right,
think there's other avenues that are in this country their whole season, right? Like
right,
sports cars, they're here the whole season, right? Like, they're not everywhere else and then here for one race.
right, right, right. Yeah, I don't know. I would have loved to have seen an American company get behind that operation, and
Not,
because you're still dealing with a lot of fans that still want to see an American driver in that team.
I'm sure Scott Speed is still available. But I also think they've never been able to get an American sponsor of that size. Why would they do it? Like, who's going to do it now?
Yeah, right,
You know what I
right.
mean? Like, if they had to get Rich Energy before, and just in order to keep the car on the track, what are they, like 4 seasons in? I don't know how long this.
Yeah,
Honda
it's tough, and they've
practice in.
gone down the championship points, so the prize
Yeah.
money isn't there, and
They're not Racing Point, Aston Martin, Force India, right?
yeah,
Like they aren't that team where I might go, oh, they're on their way up. Yeah, I'll give you some money. No, they've
mhm,
never been on the way up. So why would I support you now? I'd support
right,
Williams over supporting Haas if I had that kind of money.
yeah. So tough situation for them to be in.
It
I'm
is.
kind of look, it's good to have them on the grid, and
Mhm.
I understand why they did what they did, and you got to do what you got to do to keep the doors open. Uh,
Yeah.
The other news this week is, and I posted the full report. So they released the Roman Grosjean accident or incident report. The FIA did. I posted the full report on the website, so I'm not going to repeat all of the details. There's
Okay.
a lot of detail in that, but a couple of takeaways for me about that report. The first one was pretty stunning. We can armchair this all we want. But the reality of it is that Roman Grosjean walked away and was able to continue his role as a father and husband after experiencing a 67G impact
It's
with
crazy.
with flames. That's pretty astounding. And I realize recently we've had some tragic issues in open wheel racing, Formula One, and the feeder series, but that is pretty damned amazing when you think about it in aggregate of what he
Oh,
went through. After a 67G, anytime the melon takes a pop like that, I'm surprised he even knew what his name was.
yeah, right, right.
You know, um, there were a couple focal points of that, though. They looked at, in particular, the fire and what created the fire, which was the connection to the fuel bladder. So, in Formula One terms, the gas tanks are a malleable bladder that the fuel is in, and this was created many years ago. So, instead of having a box, in there that could be, dented or damaged and spilled, this
Yeah.
was a flexible bladder.
See Fuelgate for a whole description of what they
Right.
give Honda a call. They'll explain to you how the fuel tanks
Yes.
work.
Yes, Honda knows very well how those bladders work.
They
And
sure do.
so look up Formula One Honda fuel controversy, and
There
you'll
you go.
see in the past what
I
Grace is
learned
talking about.
I learned a lot because I had never thought about any of that. And I remember Steve Matchett talking about how, right, it's pliable and it's much more like a ball, not like a
Yeah.
box like we all think of like a rigid structure that holds your gas. So
Right.
anyway,
So, but it was really focused on the connection to that bladder and what may have
right.
gotten separated, allowing that fuel to get out. So, those are going to be areas that they're hyper
Sure.
focused on to prevent any sort of ruptures in that connection to the bladder, where they suspect the fuel was released. The upside of all of this is that the FIA will make it right. And that's just what they do. This is their whole reason for being. This is how they earn their money. And they're going to look at that, look at a couple other factors around what caused the car to separate and where it did and why,
Yeah.
all the way down to steering column and other issues. So they'll be looking at all of this to try to prevent this in the future, and they take that very seriously. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of changes come out of this centered around that fuel system. So
Yeah, I like that this is the FIA's job, unlike, making rules and sticking to them or having, consistent stewards from race to race or,
yeah, not their
any of the
job.
other things we complain about. This, however,
That's their
is
job.
their job and
Yeah.
they will do it.
This is what they do. Yeah.
That is
So
right. So
I'm
yeah,
happy to tell you they will perform this portion of their job.
that's right. Stewards, however, will be different at every race.
Every race. That's right.
We gave you a driver. Aren't you all happy now?
Right. We got a guest driver as a steward. Problem solved.
We're good here. So,
That's right.
but yeah, I think that absolutely. Because nobody wants that ever to happen again. And so if there's anything right that can be learned from that or applied to future cars, I was hoping you were going to say something like they found out that his car had so much fuel on it, and then I would be able to segue into, and this is why we should have refueling, because then you wouldn't have to carry so much fuel on your car all the time. You have to stop halfway through the race to put more fuel in. See, problem solved.
Don't deny us dragging the fuel rig down the pit lane at Singapore,
Felipe
man.
Massa style, man. I was, that's right. It worked. It was fine.
It was.
That's fine. Refueling. Bring it back.
I agree.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Let's see what other news. Oh, You guys will remember that the most recent tire tender in Formula One back in 2018 was for a supply of 13-inch tires during the 2020 season. And then that was going to be followed by 3 consecutive seasons of an 18-inch tire from 2021 to 2023. Well, thanks to COVID, that change got pushed back.
Right.
Technically, we were supposed to be on the 18-inch tires this year. We're not. We're still on the 13-inch tires. They've delayed that. And because the COVID-19 disrupted Formula One last year, the 2020 season, it meant that the FIA and Formula One had to implement an emergency measure that included the cancellation of the tire development test last year and the postponement of the planned technical regulations and the change to the 18-inch tire from 21 to 22.
Right.
So that means that Pirelli now has extended the deal all the way to 2024 now, and they will supply 3 years of 18-inch tires starting in 2022.
Look at you, Pirelli. Like, this is like a software, right? Like, you build something that when the company says, no, we want off the shelf, and you're like, well, but we could tweak it this way. So then you can't get rid of me. I've embedded myself into this program for the rest of its life. That's what's happened here. Nicely done, Pirelli, right? They found a way to just keep like stretching this contract. You can't get rid of us now. We're here till 2024. Nice
but
job.
Who's going to build your 18-inch tires? I mean,
we're the only ones that know how to do that. What do you?
Everything
you
you need is here. We have it already here. It's in Turkey. It's ready to be built.
You've already paid for it. You might as well just keep us till 2024.
Yeah.
Nicely done, Pirelli.
Well done. Well played, Pirelli.
That's right. I'm impressed.
Yes, I liked it. So look for a new tire tender to be coming out in 2024.
It'll still be Pirelli.
You think?
Unless they're going to bring back tire competition, it will continue to be Pirelli.
Yeah, that's Michelin, they were pretty adamant. They didn't want to be a sole supplier. They want competition.
Because I'm just
although the 18-inch tire I think will appeal to other tire manufacturers.
Okay, so that's a very important point. But I do think that if somebody showed up on the FIA's door and said, "Hey, I could build that for you and I'm Michelin," I think we would see Michelin in the sport, right? Like I think I don't know. I don't have another comparison, but I'm pretty sure if the right tire manufacturer showed up, they'd find a way, some loophole in a contract perhaps, to make that happen so that there was no more Pirelli and it was whatever this preferred tire manufacturer would be. So I don't think there's anybody knocking on their door.
Like Yokohama or Toyo or somebody.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like they would find a way. Like, thanks, Pirelli. Have a good time. We appreciate it.
It's been fun.
We'll see you later. Thanks a lot.
Enjoyed it. Love the blowouts at the British Grand Prix. Thank you.
They were my favorite. You've done such a great job so far. Yeah.
Oh boy. Hey, this is in the other fun news. Every year that goes by that we don't hear about this rumor, it just means that when the rumor finally does come, it's going to be a good one. Yeah. And it does seem like every few years, some enterprising young journalist stuffs a microphone in front of somebody's mouth at VW and starts and writes a report that Audi's coming to, Porsche's coming, VW's coming to Formula One. They're coming to Formula One.
That's right.
And
you heard it here first.
That's right. And so, you could go back and look at our social media posts from years ago where, it was like, I did one with a guy with a sandwich board from the early 1900s. Yeah. Audi's coming to F1.
Yeah, right.
It's been, this has been going on forever and ever. So the BBC ran the story and said that Porsche might be interested in joining Formula One if the 2025 engine regulations are attractive. Now, Porsche Motorsport Vice President Fritz Enzinger told BBC Sport, quote, It would be of great interest if aspects of sustainability, for instance, the implementation of e-fuels, play a role in this. Should these aspects be confirmed, we will evaluate them in detail within the VW group and discuss further steps, end quote.
This is the nicest way of saying not a fat chance in hell are we getting into Formula One.
It's a nice way of saying piss off, stop asking us this.
Correct. Like this is super nice. Like, I appreciate this, sir, that you put this sentence together instead of just telling them to,
pound sand.
Right, whatever. Yeah. I only had expletives. I wasn't really sure what to say there. But yes, that's the idea. That he very nicely said, well, we would consider it maybe if they made rules that we liked. Yeah, we're not doing this.
Right.
But I appreciate it. I appreciate that you didn't just tell him to go pound sand.
Right. So for those of you who are not familiar with what e-fuels are, for the rest of you, I apologize for patronizing you, but if you're not familiar with it, those are, for those of you playing at home, e-fuels are carbon neutral fuels that can power internal combustion engines like we have now without the impact of traditional fossil fuels. And they come from a whole different a number of different forms, like biofuels, which are made from biomass, or synthetic fuels, which are manufactured by an industrial process that captures carbon from the atmosphere, et cetera. So there are different kinds of e-fuels, and they're looking at that very seriously. Formula One has made it very clear that their next engine evolution, they are really focused on e-fuels and sustainability or biosustainable fuel alternatives to fossil fuels. So that's something that they're looking at very much. The quote continues, Porsche and Volkswagen AG are observing the constantly changing regulations in all relevant racing series around the world. This is also the case with regards to emerging new engine and drivetrain regulations for Formula One from 2025, end quote. Again, pound sand.
Yeah, right. Like
we watch all motorsport.
There.
Yeah.
That's right.
We're VW. Why wouldn't we watch? We're Porsche. Why wouldn't we watch motorsport? Right. Of course we do.
Yeah, they're more likely to get into MotoGP than they are to get into Formula One, is the way I read this quote.
Right, or rally.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, MotoGP is even crazier, right? Like, that's not
right,
happening at all, right? So I went with the most extreme example. I love the phrase e-fuels. Can I just, this is now a new phrase to categorize already existing things, right?
Yes,
we're just going to call them this group of fuels, and we're going to call them e-fuels. I appreciate that chef's kiss of marketing that's going on here that the industry has picked up on. These are things that already exist, and they just have a new name, but I like it. E-fuels.
I do too. Yes.
That aren't electric. That's the other thing too, right? Like
right. They're not electric either.
Because that's why e-fuel sounds like. I mean, that would be the first thing I thought of when I heard that phrase the first time. Like, electricity are we considering electricity the fuel? What is
no, it's power on demand, man.
Yeah, e-fuel.
I'm all for it.
E-fuel.
So I think it's great. But the thing is, this is a very similar comment that Audi has made in the past, that VW has made in the past, where they say, we're always keeping our eyes open over at VW Automotive Group.
Pile of cash. We're just trying to figure out where to spend it. Maybe
never gonna
be Formula One. Maybe
that's not. Right. Maybe not. You're never gonna catch us with our pants down over at VW. We're always on the innovation curve.
We're always watching everything.
Thought leaders right here. All right. We are the thought brokers of the automotive world.
Thought brokers. That's right.
That's right. So it sounds very familiar, but you never know. They may be interested. The bigger question in this article at BBC anyway was like, well, if they did enter, would they enter as a full works team or as a supplier? And the suggestions is that they may have already discussed the option of becoming a supplier to McLaren, Williams, and Red Bull. And let me be honest, right up front, VW, if you're suggesting that you might like to enter the series with an e-fuel engine, power plant, powertrain for a Formula One team as a supplier, you would do well to choose Red Bull. I'm just going to put that right out there. Nothing against McLaren. I love McLaren. Great folks. Williams got a long way to go. Red Bull, instantly competitive. That's your team.
here's what I think's happened, right? Like, I like this idea of Red Bull because it's basically like Red Bull's like, Honda, baby, you're my favorite. We're going to keep you. We're going to keep this in the sport. Even though you're leaving, we're just going to take your intellectual property and we're going to keep loving it. We're going to make this car Honda powered. It's going to be great. Wait, who's at the door? Honda who? We're out. Volkswagen's in, right? Like, that's how quick that change is going to happen.
Yeah.
Right?
It'd be like Christian Horner, pick up the phone. Hey, come pick up your crap. Yeah, it's all here. Come pick it all up.
Porsche's, it's on the front yard.
It's on the front yard. It's out in the lake. Go pick up all the crap. All right, all that Honda shit. We just put it out there on the front lawn. Come pick it up. We got to make room for Porsche.
Yeah.
Thank you.
While you're at it, McLaren also called and they'd like you to pick up their crap too, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, pick up their crap too. And that is in the bottom of the McLaren Lake.
Yeah, right. So Ron lives. I think that, I like that idea. I mean, or they could just wait another season and buy whatever's left of Haas, you know? I mean, is that really really, how long are we dragging this out?
That's true. Porsche could just buy Haas.
You know. I mean, has Gene ever wanted in this sport? I don't think so. I think the first day he wanted in this sport, and then that was it.
What's the old saying that boat people always say? The best day and worst day of your life. No, the best day of your life is the day you buy a boat and the day you sell a boat.
Yes.
Sell your boat, right?
Because boats are terrible, right? They're nothing but money sinks, right?
Right.
That is accurate to what a Formula One team is. So
the
day before, Gene was very excited, and the day he sells it, he'll be very excited, but nothing in between.
I'm starting to think that my Sir Frank may actually become Gene in 2021. Watch this space.
That's the best rumor so far.
Yeah, I like it. Porsche buying Haas.
There you go.
Hey, they should do it because then they could pick up Mick Schumacher. Boom, German driver, Porsche.
Right. Yeah, done. And then Mick Schumacher won't have to continue to make the most neutral phrases about his teammate, which the season hasn't even started, and he's like, I've known Marzipan for a long time. He's my teammate. Good. That's it. That's all you got. Good.
That's all you got to say.
This is going to be a long season.
He's such a gentleman because he wants to say the kid's a Muppet.
Like, I've known him my whole, right. Like, that's what's playing in his head. I've known him his whole life. ... Can't say that. Oh, I can't say that. I can't say that. He's my teammate. That's all he can come up with to say. Like, practice those neutral phrases, Mick, because you're going to need all season.
Right. Oh my. All right. Hey, speaking of Williams. A little sad news over at the Williams launch. Apparently, they had developed this augmented reality app for their launch, but unfortunately, they had to abandon the launch as hackers hacked the app and released pictures of their new livery ahead of the launch.
So first of all, what did we learn here, Williams? 1, launch an actual car. Then this won't happen. 2, don't put your images in the app. Like this, I get it. Hackers, this is not very nice, and we should all feel bad for Williams. But who's your IT staff? I hope you fired them all.
Right.
This didn't take rocket science to do.
Not good enough.
Right. So, I mean, I get it. We're all supposed to be like, oh, I'm so sad for Williams. I am sad. It's Williams. This sucks. I don't want this kind of stuff to happen. But work a little harder. Get some IT folks that know what they're doing.
Poor Williams. Not good.
I don't know. Yeah,
oh, you just throwing money around over there, Grace?
No, I was playing with my wedding rings.
Oh. It sounded like you're dropping big coinage over there.
No, I wish. No, they're like my, fidget spinners or whatever, right?
Yeah,
I dropped I no longer am married now. I dropped the wedding band. Whatever.
Oh, just for tonight. Here's what they had to say, quote, "We were very much looking forward to sharing this experience with our fans, particularly during this difficult time when being able to bring in-person experiences directly to our fans is sadly not possible." Well, why isn't that possible, Williams?
Because our IT is terrible.
Jesus Christ. Are you kidding me?
And launch a real car and this won't happen.
I got an idea. Take the money you were going to spend on an app and put it into the car and just launch the damn car with George Russell sitting on the tire.
Or can we talk about Lewis Hamilton like hovering, squatting over a tire? What was that? Like
like a gargoyle.
I know, right? You've taken the tire sitting game to a whole new level. What?
Only Lewis could do that.
Right. What hasn't this man accomplished?
I don't know. He's flown over a Turkish opera, for crying out loud.
Come on. Has Michael Schumacher accomplished these things? No. Has Ayrton Senna accomplished these things? No. Only Lewis Hamilton.
But Lewis Hamilton could take the tire sitting car launch and elevate it. Only Lewis could do that.
And here's what I'd like to believe. I'd like to believe that the photographer, because you know, like when you get pictures, they're like, okay, now stand over here, and now stand over here, and now do this thing. And so the photographer went, okay, now it's time to sit on the tires. And Bottas went like this, and Lewis started hovering over the tire, and he went, oh shit, like,
right.
Like I was just gonna sit on the tire, and you pulled that crap out, and great, I can't win anything.
I can't do anything.
I can't even sit on tires. And then
I just spent the whole winter at a mental training camp, and the guy whamps me on the tire sitting.
Oh my God. And then, and then I saw there was an interview, and I love that somebody said, I'm like, as soon as we saw the YouTube clip, I'm like, oh, people have sent this to me. This is gonna be great. And they have, because our fans are the best. And so there it is. He does this whole interview sitting on a tire. I like to believe this is because he's salty about Lewis's like balance on a tire like that.
So
like,
funny. Man. It reminded me. Do you remember the original British version of The Office?
Yes.
After David Brent gets fired, and like they're interviewing for this magazine, and they ask him to just take a quick photo for and he's like all posing and laying down on the desk,
right? Like he's Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I was thinking that's what Lewis, we just get a shot with you on the tire, and he just hops up on the tire like a gargoyle.
Yeah,
it's just it's so funny.
That was like. Man, Lewis Hamilton, there is nothing that stops that man.
Oh, man.
And Bottas just can't win, because I swear he's like 2 inches from sitting on the tire, and he was like, forget it. I'm over.
Good.
I'm out.
Well, there you go. Thanks to hackers, Grace. This is why we can't have nice things.
I know, God.
This is exactly why we can't have nice things. We try to do a augmented reality thing, trying to be cool and hip over at Williams, but no, hackers have to blow it.
Didn't we learn anything from Virgin Racing? Don't try to be cool. Just launch the car.
I think when we learned that Richard Branson has passed the sell-by date of hip, cool, long hair entrepreneur. Now he's creepy old man sort of thing.
I don't know. He has his own island and hangs out with the Obamas. How bad can that be? I don't know. I don't have my own island.
I don't know. I've never partied with the Obamas. I don't know.
I don't know either. Or the W's. I'm not trying to be politically, one side or the other. Party with
Wasn't he running around on the island nude when something caught on fire?
Oh, Richard Branson or Barack Obama?
No, not Barack. I can't get that out of my head. No, Richard Branson.
That's way funny.
That is kind of funny though. Barack running around.
All right. Whew. All right, focus.
That's kind of funny.
Right? I don't know. I didn't hear that story. Yeah. That's pretty funny too.
I don't know about that Richard guy. Anyway.
All
right, Grace. So we have had a few car launches. The 2020. I got to be honest with you. I think the liveries this year look terrific. I really do
too. I think
the Aston Martin looks particularly good, as does the Alpine, and the Williams is fun, kind of in its new machination.
Yes.
Grace, I will say though, out of all the ones I've seen so far, McLaren kind of phoned it in.
So first of all, I'd like to say for McLaren, I really wanted when I hope I didn't already make this joke. Sometimes I make these jokes so many times to flip that I think, I don't remember if I ever said this on the podcast or not. But as people wear masks, right, and wear glasses, right, you fog up, right? Well, this has literally been Adrian Seidel's entire existence for the 2020 season. So I really wanted, when they asked him about the new car, what do you think of the new livery? If he went, I don't know, I haven't seen a damn thing in a year. My glasses keep fogging up. I think that would have been a much funnier answer, but he's also in the position he is because he's not really that kind of like a jokey kind of guy. But
no, he doesn't seem to be.
I think that would have been a funny joke. Like, I don't know. I just keep walking towards the papaya thing and hope it's us. Because I can't see anything.
Right.
just all fogged up.
He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would like put a whoopee cushion in your chair.
No, that's what I'm saying. And that's why he's where he is and I'm where I am, right? Like
Right. Well-known whoopee cushion jokester.
that's me, right?
Yeah.
That's my middle name, Whoopee Cushion Grace, right? Like
Right.
well-known gags over here. So
Yeah.
but anyway, I think that I don't know. I mean, first of all, I hate this whole like semantic team launch versus car launch. You're not going to show us the car to Bahrain. Just do that. Like teams have done that in the past. That's
Yep.
fine. You can blame COVID. Everybody blames everything on COVID, whether it's COVID's fault or not. Just we'll wait till Bahrain and we'll see what your car actually looks like.
There you go.
Yeah, they just put the new livery on the old car and it's kind of the same livery. So
Yeah.
what did we really get? We got that kid behind Lando Norris, right? That's
Right.
What we got out of that. So
that was fun.
yeah, so I do like Aston Martin. I've decided that
That's
I will
good.
refer to them as the watermelon team because I think especially the drivers look like watermelons. So because they now have the pink
Yeah.
here on
Yeah, I like it. Did you see that Tom Brady and Daniel Craig had a message for him?
Oh, I did not. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Listen, people. I do know I said this like three podcasts ago. We've got to get over this James Bond business. I cannot live an entire season with one more person trying to say something about 007, James Bond, Aston Martin, especially the Atmar Snafnauer. I think that he should put that, like, I'll interview you. I'll be the guy on the pit wall, but Crofty, so help me. If you even make one reference to James Bond, I'm getting off of this wall, walking across pit lane. I'm walking up to the media center and I'm finding you because I've had it. I've had it. It's not even my team.
Right.
Let it go, people. We get it. It's British. It's Aston Martin. It's James Bond. Who cares? Move on. Let's stop talking about it.
I love it. I love James Bond. More James Bond for me.
I do. I mean, I love James Bond, but it's the hokey connections people try to make. Like, if there's a legitimate connection, that's totally fine. If it totally works with a story, that's great. But it's like the forced, like,
yeah.
you know,
Although the best one was at the Olympics when Daniel Craig went and got the Queen.
Yes.
And then parachuted. Yeah, that was cool.
So right. So I think there is a place for it, but I think if one more person refers to, Atmar Snafnauer as,
or
Snafnauer,
Vettel, Sebastian Vettel.
Atmar Snafnauer, let it go. Atmar Snafnauer, who I love, and I've now said his name like 7 times, which makes me very happy to say his name, isn't James Bond. Let it go.
No, he's more Q than he is James Bond.
That's true. That is true. Oh. And so anyway, I just think it's the forced connection that people try to make that bothers me.
Right.
Let it go. Don't force it. We all know. Everybody knows. British people. We all know.
Does that make Lawrence M? Does that make Lance Stroll Moneypenny? What the heck's going on here?
Is M the idiot in the
No, M is
second Daniel? No, listen, in the second Daniel Craig movie where he plugs in his laptop to the entire system and the entire system gets an infection, he must have been the guy who was running the Williams launch.
Right.
Wasn't it M that does that? Because Q is played by Judi Dench,
Judi Dench, right.
So
Dame
Judi Dench.
Yes.
Somebody mentioned that in an interview. Maybe it was Martin Brundle. I think it was Martin Brundle that mentioned that when he asked Lewis Hamilton if he should call him Sir Lewis, and Lewis kind of like faltered for a moment. And I was like, yeah, because my response would have been like Paul McCartney. Like, I'm 32. Like, like Dame Judi Dench. Yes, and I get it that he was knighted, but still, I'd be like, I'm not Paul McCartney. Bring it down a notch, people. Right.
Right.
I'm just Lewis. I don't need to be Sir Lewis. Except that is what I make Botas call me, but everybody else could just call me Lewis.
Right.
It's in my contract. That's what the negotiations took so long, was I had to get Botus McBoatface on board with calling me Sir Lewis.
Right.
Nobody else has to call me that.
Sir Lewis.
I'm not Paul McCartney, but so yeah, I do like the Aston Martin. It looked great, and again, I'm all over this. And
I like the Alpine because I've been screaming for French Racing Blue for 10 years now.
And I think that so we were talking about how Haas is an American team, but with Russian colors. I think we should all just adopt, as Americans, Alpine. It's close. It's
It's
the right
close enough.
colors, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It looks more American than the Haas does. So let's all just be Alpine fans, and we'll just pretend
Right.
it's American instead of French. It's fine.
Yeah. I'm all for it. Of course, I've loved the look of that Renault car for the last several years,
That's
even
nice.
in the black and yellow. I just think that car looks awesome.
Yeah.
But the Alpine with the blue on it just looks fabulous. So
I thought it looked great.
big fan.
And then I like the Williams. I like the stripes. Somebody did note that the black and blue stripes on the back make it easier to hide that they don't have any sponsors. I was like, wow.
Right.
All right. Point taken. And
Yeah, point taken.
you know, and Flip and I decided that it really kind of looks like the cars that they give you in the Formula One racing game, right? Because they're all
Right.
like geometrical stripes and shapes and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So it does kind of look like maybe somebody was playing, you know, Formula One 2020 was like, this is my car. We shall put it on the Williams.
Yeah, I saw it and thought it kind of looked like Williams trying to do an 8-bit Formula One car, you know?
There you go. And I'd also like to take just another moment for yet another tangent of mine, which is, why does the Formula One game consider classic cars anything that's 10 years old? 10 years old is not a classic car. 2014, not a classic car.
No, I agree.
You know, first of all, I think they should delineate them by eras, like hybrid eras, V10s, whatever, ground effects, right? Like that's how we all talk about these different eras,
Yeah,
right?
that's
By
right.
what the major feature was that kind of like defined that generation of
Yep.
cars. But I was just like, yeah, if it was like, oh yeah, I have to race a 2010 Ferrari, it's under the classic cars. I'm like, no, that is not a classic car.
Yeah, no, 2014 Red Bull wouldn't be a classic car.
No. Sebastian
hybrid.
Vettel should not have won in a classic car.
Right. Right.
So I
crazy.
don't know. I assume that it's whatever 22-year-old software person they got in charge of this. It was like, oh yeah, I wasn't alive then. That's a classic.
It's a classic. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I agree. All right.
So anyway, I'm just sharing that as well, that I find that
appreciate
very
it.
annoying as well. Not a classic. 2014, not a classic.
Not a classic. Not a classic. All right. What do we do next? Oh, here. Oh, it's this. It's time for this week's fun and random fact. The slashies.
Slashies.
Woo! Yes, this is going to be exciting. So, folks, the first World Championship F1 race that had two names. Yep, it had two names. Officially, it was the Grand Prix d'Europe.
Okay.
The first time that title had ever gone to a race outside Italy or France, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
But as the race was held on UK soil, it incorporated the British Grand Prix.
All right.
So there you go. The Grand Prix d'Europe and the British Grand Prix, same race. The very first World Championship F1 race with two names.
There you go. So when we were so the first year, and we all went to Austin, by all of us, I mean the three of us, other people were there too, right? Just a few. And we joked about how instead of being called Circuit of America, it should be Circuit du America, like it's
Right.
Catalunya, right?
Right.
I feel like if we do get a second race in America, it should be Grand Prix d'America, right? Like
Right.
this would be our second race. I like the D apostrophe as the way to like class up another American race for us.
There you go. Yeah, Grand Prix d'America.
Yes.
I like it.
There you go. So that's it. People in charge of these things in Miami, listen up.
There you go.
We got
There's
your race
answer.
name. Done.
I like it. Oh boy. Let's see. What time is it now? Let's do some mailbag.
You've got mail.
Andrew Page, our friend Andrew, says,
Yeah.
regards to a second U.S. race, Grace. Perfect time.
Oh, look at that segue.
I'd love to see a night race in or near Manhattan, perhaps dipping into Central Park and around the United Nations building. It would make for great TV and showcase the one-of-a-kind city that you have. That's a good idea. I like that idea, going down in Central Park.
It would
Maybe.
be a lot of, it's a square.
Yeah. Right.
No, I mean, right. I think if we're just playing like, race car tycoon, I think this is a great idea. Would it work in actuality? No, right. Like you'd have to, downtown, midtown
Shutting down New
Manhattan.
York would cost an absolute fortune.
Yeah, right. It was annoying when they shut down Baltimore, like in the Inner
Right.
Harbor. So I can't imagine shutting down that part of Manhattan. But if we're just playing, Racetrack Tycoon, yeah, I'm all over that. That would
Yeah.
it would be super cool. That
Right.
would be super cool.
But that's why they wanted to get over to Weehawken, and at least you'd get the skyline.
I loved it. I loved it because then it would be in the background, and then
Right.
you could do it because it's Weehawken, and who cares?
Right. Right. Oh boy. All right. Let's see. PG says Haas livery features multiple images representing the Russian flag, Russian sponsor, Russian driver, misogynist, Russian flags. Haas, the all-American team.
Oh, they did buy assets from Manor that was Marussia. So I just feel like there's some sort of like full circle Russia thing going on.
It's come
here,
full
right?
circle, right? It's come home to roost. They're Marussia once again.
Yes. That's
See?
right. So it's like nothing's changed.
History repeats itself, Grace.
Yeah. I was going to say all they have to do is call back the dentist, but that was Spiker. Totally a different team. In a classic car.
That's right. It was. Spiker
was
was a classic
car.
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe. The dentist.
Coles. What was his name? Colin Coles?
Colin Coles. Yeah.
Woo! Where's Trivia Night in Formula One? I'm ready.
Man, you're going to pull out Mike Gascoigne next.
Yeah, that's right. Christian Albers. I'm ready.
Christian Albers.
It's all in here somewhere.
Timo Glock.
Who ruined Felipe Massa's life? Who is Timo Glock?
Timo Glock. That's right.
That's right.
All right. Well, before I get out of this podcast, I always, lately, I've had fun. It's always kind of amazed me how many of you folks out there listening play guitar. So, and as you know, I do too. And, and have for a long time. So I always like to throw out my underrated guitarist of the week.
Okay.
So last time, I believe it was Jamie Westorm for The Fix, who I'm a big fan of. This week, I am throwing out Tom Bucheveck. And now Tom Bucheveck is a session guitarist in Nashville. He's played on some of the biggest names out there. He is awesome. He's a fabulous player. I could sit and listen to him play the dial tone. And he is just super tasty, super awesome guitar player. You can go to YouTube and look up his channel, 501 Chorus Echo, and you'll see Tom. He's just a terrific guy and a terrific talent. So I always enjoy that, and a very underrated guitarist. So there you go.
Yeah.
You have it. You want an honorable mention? Somebody you might know of, Grace?
Oh, okay.
So let's play a game. I'm going to give you an honorable mention. But Grace, since you are not a guitar player, who's the first person you think of when I say guitar player?
Oh, the first thing that came to my mind, honestly, at least as a guitar player, which I feel better about, but I don't know, for whatever reason, Eddie Van Halen was the first name that came to my brain.
Eddie's awesome.
So I was, because I was actually, why have I blanked on his name from Dire Straits?
Mark Knopfler.
Mark Knopfler, who I've seen.
Yeah.
I've seen him play.
Mark's
It's really good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, Mark's
So
awesome.
I was trying to come up with Mark Knopfler because I've actually seen him play. So
cool.
But Eddie Van Halen was what came in there first.
Well, Eddie's awesome too. He was fantastic. Yeah, he was an inflection point in guitar. So my other honorable mention that you will know, who is an underrated guitarist who is actually a beast, is a fabulous player, is Lindsey Buckingham.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So there you go. I knew you'd know who Lindsey was.
That's right. Very good. Fleetwood Mac. Got it. Woo.
There you go. All right,
Colin
folks.
Coles. I'm good.
Colin Coles, Mike Gascoigne.
Christian Albers. I got it.
Oh,
once called him an alcoholic idiot. Christian Albers. I got it.
Yeah. You once called me a warped alcoholic idiot. But what are you but a young warped alcoholic idiot?
Oh my goodness. What is
Oh boy.
Got it. That's the bottle.
Be sure to stop by the website, theparcfermé.com. Share your opinion. Just do it according to civility. As always, huge thank you to our Patreon supporters. Trust me, we could not and would not do this podcast without you. If you like this podcast and you would like to support us in creating this podcast, you can go to our Patreon account and give us a little love over there. If you like the podcast, you can go to iTunes, give us a good review over at iTunes, and again, thank you so much to all of you out there for your well wishes and your love and support during this last week. I really do appreciate it. And means the world. It's incredibly humbling, folks, to have that many people reach out to you, wishing you well, and I am just beside myself with just humility that you guys care that much. So thank you so much for reaching out. And until next week, when we do it all over again, this is Todd, aka Negative Camera, saying so long, Grace.
See you next week.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.